Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and this is gonna be a badass battle. It's gonna be myself playing as Mordor, and we're at the Black Gate, so I'm gonna be defending the Black Gate. Indie Pride here is with Gondor. He's gonna be leading the assault, and he was hoping to perhaps take the walls. You can see the armies of men mustering before the Black Gate, and now here comes the hand of Sauron. I am not at all waiting for them to assault Mordor. My troops are going to come out and meet him en masse right up through the front. So the huge gate does not swivel open itself. It has these smaller little gates here. But nonetheless, this is going to be super awesome. This fight goes really well. So I have a bunch of troops filtering through here. Just Uruk halberdiers, more of those guys, and then a ton of these Uruk archers just stationed in the front. We're going to be exchanging fire with the enemy. The towers here also contributing to the fight. And meanwhile, ranks and ranks of men have lined up to the front. The Gondorian archers, Ithilien rangers, all unloading on my guys. Catapults also going to be firing. One position on either flank. Try and keep back the ranks of Mordor. And look at my shots flying across the air. Because of the height advantage that I have here, I can get much greater distance, and my shots for the most part are going to be flying straight and true. And that's going to be covering the approach of my men as we start to fan out. These are my orc maulers leading the charge. They are mostly cheap units. In the back, the ranks of Mordor are still, pretty deep. Got a bunch of halberds, maulers, a lot of Olagai, and I have regular, well, I say regular, mountain trolls. Very scary troops going to be deploying as well. So now I'm forming up my battle lines, soaking up a lot of fire, but also equally punishing the enemy as well as we wait for the trolls to make their appearance. A couple shots gonna be coming in, and let's watch as these battle-hardened mountain trolls come out of the gate. Such a freaking awesome sight, such a cool battlefield. I'm so glad the modders actually made this. Immediately I'm gonna start to try and fan out, because I know this is a prime target for catapults. Couple of the shots raining in over there as I have more trolls, so I split them up between both flanks just so I didn't have too much fire coming in at me. Speaking of fire, look at these front ranks just being completely peppered with arrows. Enemy Swan Knights are going to be charging all along the front, and these are elite Gondorian infantry, dismounted Swan Knights, backed up with a lot of troops. They're going to be charging into my ranks. A couple catapults trying to hit the mountain trolls, but I'm safe. He's going to be charging my front ranks. And now I exploited a gap with my mountain trolls. Going to be charging around the flank down into the gut of the Gondorian army. It's going to try and pull out and retreat back to the heavy infantry, but I do get in on his mass. Actually, these are Pelargir raiders and marines. This is perfect for me. It's actually drawing away support from the main line, so by penetrating deep, and here I'm going to be able to draw away some of his support to the front line action. And look how freaking brutal this is. Tons of action happening there, and on this flank as well. He's made a bit more progress. Dismounted Swan Knights getting in the mix with tons of fire. This is the chaos of the battlefield that we like to see. My trolls actually decided not to push forward here because he had the Swan Knights here ready to force me back, and he held down this position pretty well. So this is where I'm going to be swarming around with my mountain trolls, pushing around the right flank, or sorry, the left flank. To try and help out these trolls because I've been caught up in a bit of a pickle here, but they're holding it down, some of the key units. And now look at this easy charge I'm going to get here. This is a bowling ball going up against bowling pins. And the purpose of these trolls is to clear out a path for my Uruk halberds. So I'm counter-punching into the enemy. Yes, the Swan Knights have just absolutely, chewed through my men, but in doing so, they've been forced to sustain. Look at the withering fire coming in from all my towers and my units up there. So that is what Mordor does. It sandbags the enemy, and just as they may be starting to clear away my front ranks, look who comes out of the gate. A single unit of Nazgul. The gate is going to close again, but this is the equivalent of the might of the first entire wave that I sent out. These Nazgul pack a punch, and look where they're committing. on the right flank, where I am still holding strong against the Swan Knights, where they are forcing me back. So Nazgul on one flank, Trolls on the other, and it is going pretty well. We've dove fairly deep, got to the enemy catapults. This is definitely something I wanted to shut up, in essence, keep it from putting fire on me, because now, just as I have that area suppressed, I'm going to be starting to commit more of my reserves, and I have a lot more troops. Olagai, heavy infantry. Most of my archers up here have been told to hold fire for the second phase. Indy is going to be sending around his dismounted Swan Knights to relieve the center, and so he has broken my first charge. Catapults going left and right, hitting a couple of my men on the flank, so the army of men have taken out my front ranks, but this is all before he can even hope to try and assault the Black Gate, so we are throwing a wall of bodies at Gondor. What I was telling you before is the Nazgul committed themselves here, so they're going to be fighting in and amongst these men. So yes, the Swan Knights may be getting lucky kills against these halberdiers, but then they come and they face the might of the Nazgul, who are left and right, just destroying these elite troops. Meanwhile, it's again a story of sandbagging. Look at the furious rain of fire arrows coming down on these guys, specifically targeting these Swan Knights. I think this is a prime target for me to fire away at these guys. Yep, here comes another volley from all along the line. Let's watch this. They're at 24 men. After that full volley, they've only lost, they lost 5 down to 17, so that was really good. And now here comes the second wave. The onslaught of Mordor does not stop. It just keeps bellowing forth more ranks. So these are heavy infantry, going to be crucial for cleaning up these depleted sword infantry. Dismounted Swan Knights are going to be no match for my heavy ranks. I'm now going to be fanning out. My trolls are still causing chaos. Actually, it looks like the last of them was gunned down on this front with a lot of these Pelargir Marines. These guys have javelins, and so if you can keep them at a distance, they can pepper your infantry like this pretty well. So the armies of men are still cheering. I mean, he still has a lot of Ithilien Rangers, tons of archers left, Gondorian Spearmen. Sondi is definitely not out of the fight. Citadel Guard and his ranks here are going to be pulling back. Fountain Guard still alive, Catapults still alive on both flanks, and still some Swan Knights holding strong. So surveying the battlefield as it is here, my front rank was destroyed. The right flank was reinforced by Nazgul and is, caught in a bitter fight with Swan Knights. I don't believe the Nazgul have lost a single man just yet. Oh wow, they're down to 5, so they've lost 2. It says defeated is a distinct possibility, so Indy doing pretty well actually on this flank. Here comes the second charge. Let's meet it in the center. Against Fountain Guard, that is not a unit you want to tackle from the front. Look at them tear my guys to little bits. Oh, a devastating hit from the catapults. Actually taking out a couple of Indies, but mostly of my guys. Gondorian Infantry, Spearmen going to be committing to hold my guys back. I think pound for pound, my guys are kind of equal against these Spearmen. But if these Swan Knights activate themselves, they can do some pretty brutal hammer and anvils. And here comes the Olagai. Yeah, like I was talking about, those javelins trying to take effect. Oh, catapult sniping one of these guys. And all of the Ithilien Rangers going to be refocusing their fire on this flank. You can see a lot of my guys taking, they're bloody. They've taken a lot of damage. But the Olagai are way, way stronger than the previous mountain trolls we saw. Here comes another one charging in. And so now to reinforce the Nazgul, you have Olagai. So that should clean up this flank. And then issuing forth in the wake of that, the perhaps 4th or 5th wave, I've lost count at this point, of heavy troops. Now they're not at all taking enemy fire from the catapults and Ithilien Rangers, so that is good. 2 flanks of them issuing forth, and that is going to be the entirety of the content of Mordor's armies. Everything has been sent forth to deal with the armies of men. Catapults desperately trying to fire at my flanks, trying to pin my Olagai, who've now committed to hammer and anvils against his elite troops. On the far flank here, it completely broke his force. And now I'm going after the catapult. Swan Knights are going to line up for a charge. And actually on a clean charge like that, looks like I take the advantage. Didn't lose any troops to that, and my charge into his men were pretty good. So I think usually I've had Swan Knights kick the ass of Olagai, but what you have to do is hold them down with another unit and then charge the Olagai. The Olagai charge is just simply too strong. You can see how many of the horses it did knock out. So the Swan Knights pulling out of here after having their glorious heads bashed in. So they're pulling back, and my Nazgul going to be chasing them away. So this flank has been surrounded. I have halberds pouring in to suppress the catapults. So this flank, I would say, is pretty well won. In the center, he's holding strong. My Olagai are going to be trying to wrap around this flank, but they're taking lots of fire. They're down to 5 Olagai. They're going to be intercepted somewhat by some spearmen. So epic, and look at all this fire that's pouring into this flank. He really wants to keep me down. Look at the number of bodies on the ground here. So it doesn't matter, Mordor has more than enough men to pour into the fight. Almost nothing remains of the Gondorian line infantry. Catapult itself is fighting for its life. My archers are still pouring fire into the mass of men. Yes, we're killing some of our own guys, but it does not matter. Gondor has to crumble here. Where is Aragorn at a time like this? So we've claimed victory on this side, forced his guys back, and so what Indy has left, he does have his catapult crew left, so these guys are pulling back. My Olagai were caught out in a position where I would get kited to death and countercharged by the Swan Knights, so I decided to pull them back to where the action was. We'll let those pesky archers fire away, it won't do anything. And so I freed up my 4th wave here to come in and pretty decisively clean up the remainder of the armies of men. So there they go. And so this is one of the reasons why you don't attack the Black Gate. Look how many legions of trolls and uruks you can send forth. And this is even before, look at this, an unscratched, undented wall here. Didn't even put any damage onto the wall. This, you know, this is a case where the attacker was counterattacked, and rightfully so. This is the fury of Mordor that you can expect. So a lesson was definitely taught here. And the horn has blown. Sauron has called back his legions, and they're going to be pulling back to the Black Gate, trying to reform. The men of Gondor have been forced back, and so instead of charging out in disarray, what we're going to be doing is reforming our lines back at the Black Gate, concentrating forces, and then we're going to issue a second charge. Still, I have a couple units who have not heeded the recall. They've been caught with bloodlust, and so they're going to be trying to chase away some of the enemy infantry. And these guys are still being supported by the Swan Knights and few remaining troops. They're caught up here against my Nazgul, who are, yes, just have 5 men left, but still they're going to be tearing it up with these Swan Knights. And look, this is all that remains of this unit. 4 men, 9 men, 7. So really not much left. Everyone runs in fear of the Great Eye. Super epic battle. Just like I said, the Athelian Rangers are still up and running. A couple Citadel Guard here and there. And the Swan Knights. That's all that's really left. Now let's take account of what's left on my side. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Uruk halberds. We're all pretty strong. I have an Olagai still at full strength. Maybe not in HP, but definitely every single one of these Olagai is up. Look how crazy scary these guys are. And I have another one that is pretty battered and bruised. Down to 4 trolls left. And I still have my archers positioned. And so I'm going to be pulling them down to the bottom floor. And the main reason for this is I just wanted to kind of show off to Indy, show off to the ranks of men and just show our full strength, because if they're going to be destroyed, and that is guaranteed, then we want them running back with a story to tell, where they gave it all they could, and at the end of the battle, all they saw was more men pouring out of Mordor. And so that's the message we're sending here, as you cannot stop Mordor. So now that we've got our guys ready, the Olagai are going to be the ones to lead the charge. I'm trying to get a nice shot of the battlefield here. Look how much damage was dealt. And he did have his Swan Knights actually completely charging over and over again my remaining Nazgul. So my Nazgul were actually killed, so despite the morale blow that I was hoping to deal with them, they did get a counter morale blow, which was to destroy my remaining Nazgul. You can see them here. Without support, they got over and over again charged by the Swan Knights. So, and the catapult crew desperately going to be trying to reman the siege equipment. So the courage of men cannot be understated. They are going to be grabbing the catapults and pulling them back to their lines in the face of the swarm. And here comes the main assault. This is going to be the final wave that crashes on and wipes out mankind. Uruk archers pouring forward, and they're going to be paying a price for getting so close. Ithilien rangers, everyone firing away. Gondorian archers doing everything they can to keep my guys back. Swan Knights, they'll be trying to charge forward and do something to keep this army at bay. Looks like they're going to be going after my weaker targets in the middle, my archers. Ooh, and a catapult shot there, just barely missing one of my trolls. So he gets a nice strike on the center, but this is kind of exactly what I wanted them to do. Look at what's coming in now that the archers have, or sorry, the Swan Knights have been caught in position. We're going to be charging with the halberds. This flank has been charged by a full unit. The catapult is now ours again. Citadel Guard going to be trying to force us back. Swan Knights going to be pulling back. Meanwhile, my Olagai are kind of sitting here, just being total badasses, staring down the enemy. The balance bar is pretty securely in my favor. I've only lost 65% of my men, whereas the New Pride has lost 77. And so they're just staring out here, daring the men to fire at them. Give us your best shot. This is the one who barely missed that catapult shot, did not flinch. So badasses through and through. The center of Indy's line has fallen back. The Swan Knights actually even breaking. This is not where you want to be as an archer. Seeing the cream of the crop of your forces pull away. Meanwhile, the front lines have been absolutely destroyed, and my archers' position here are going to give the enemy a taste of their own medicine. I'm telling them, you want to fire at me? Well, this is what you'll get back. Flaming shot as always. Got to give them the cruelest of deaths. So as the arrows come in, front line's gonna get charged. Just some really cheap Uruk archers cutting in close with their daggers. So that's gonna suppress one unit. The other unit here is suppressed by, oh my god, look at all my archers. Relishing every shot that they fire into the men. Let's watch this. Fire! I always found the arrow trails in Medieval 2 to be pretty satisfying and really cool. So there goes that charge. And on the right, dual Olagai units going to be charging forward. Trampling over the bodies of men who are dead, or some who are alive, perhaps catching their last breaths. They're not going to be trampled by Olagai on their way to take out the few remaining friends that they have left alive. So this is a brutal end to the campaigns of mankind who brought them all the way to the Black Gate, and this is where they get turned back. Look at this. Right in the center where they weren't charged by the main force, here comes a group of 4 Olagai. Boom!
Victory will be ours.
So that should be shattered. Yep. Broken and routing. This Gondorian archer unit still steady, somehow pulling back. Catapult crew still alive, but look at this. the tide of Mordor is pushing ever further. Still getting on some point-blank shots with the Rangers. Rangers are really cool units, both in the lore and in the game. They fight pretty well in close-quarter combat too. So it looks like they're going to commit to a last-ditch effort. Oh my god. My guys seemingly not caring who is who. They just trampled through half of my guys. So cool. Yeah, this is really awesome stuff. So anyways, the battle's going to be winding down. It's pretty clear which way it has gone. I think the courage of men was put to the test, and I think they passed that test. But in terms of strength of arms, I would say they failed. And the carnage that is left over is perhaps indicative of this. But then again, I'm talking from the perspective of Sauron. Who knows? Maybe this was all a distraction in the background. We may yet spot some hobbitses making their way towards Mount Doom. Gotta keep an eye on that. There we go. This is the end, as I've said, perhaps the last couple minutes. This is the end of the Age of Men. Where are you gonna run, man? Where are you gonna run? You got nowhere to run. The ground is scorched for miles. I expect not a single man to remain alive. These Ologai will chase you to the ends of the earth. And we're gonna dump your bodies in the dead marshes. I'm gonna fast forward here just because the end result is pretty clear. There are still some archers seemingly having a little bit of balls on them, trying to get some volleys, but nope. We can watch fast forward as they get, you know, turned into a little pulp. And there you go, there are the final results. Now admittedly I did have some more funds than any pride, mostly because the evil armies in Third Age are underpowered. So we gave myself a little more funds, spent it wisely on a bunch of more men. And then he killed more guys than I did, but I had 3,000 more troops than he had. Plus, in the vicinity of the Black Gate, with the archers firing, the towers firing, I was able to turn it in my favor. So really epic stuff. Let's watch the battle statistics here. Casualties inflicted, 114 on the Ologai, all around getting really good kills. Mountain Trolls, 85. Uruks with 143, and Orc Maulers, which are cheap units, 134. I think mostly cutting down archers and catapult crew. So very epic stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, definitely stay tuned for more. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.